Hello, I'm Rico Cabeca. Welcome to this episode of Fearless Aging. The title of today's episode is Sexual Health. Sexual health is a big component of overall complete wellness. So this is going to be a really informative and really valuable interview. This is the interview I did a few years ago on my self-care summit with Dr. Anna Cabeca. So I think you're going to really enjoy it. It's about 24 minutes, so we'll just barely have time to get it going. So here we go. We're going to get it going right now. Hello, this is Rico Cabeca, and this is your Ageless Body Self-Care Guide Operations Manual for your human body and your mind. And today's session is about sexual health. And we're very fortunate to have a great expert today. Her name is Dr. Anna Cabeca. She is a triple board certified OBGYN, a women's health expert, and author of the best-selling book, The Hormone Fix, and the online home study program called Sexual CPR. She has been in practice for over 20 years and has helped thousands of women to rediscover their sex drive and reconnect with their partners through unique evaluations, cutting-edge clinical therapies, and sex education tailored to the specific issues of women in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond. I think sexual health is obviously a very important component of overall good health and well-being, but it's still not really talked about enough. And I think not enough people are not really dealing with the issues that they have. So I really want to thank Dr. Cabeca for being here and sharing her knowledge and wisdom. So Dr. Anna Cabeca, thanks so much for being here.
Well, it's great to be here with you, and you're absolutely right. This is an important topic, not talked about enough, even within our relationships. And so I think it is important, especially as we age and how our body changes, to be able to communicate openly, honestly, and transparently about it, because it holds us back from really living life and the quality relationships we want. So I think in this area where we see the issue of sexual health and how it changes with aging, like from males with erectile dysfunction, loss of desire, women with vaginal dryness, loss of desire, vaginal health issues, things that can come up, that it is part of nature. And just like menopause, right? It's a natural process, but suffering is optional, right? Suffering is optional. There are things that we can do about this now so that we can connect and have intimate, healthy relationships for our entire lives.
Yeah, really well said. I like that. Yeah, we always have challenges, but suffering is optional. That's so true. So you have a great course called Sexual CPR on your website, and I checked out. You have 8 different classes, and it really covers a lot of in-depth information and strategies. And there's also a class for men as well. So I really highly recommend, if you have some challenges in this area, I highly recommend that you check out Dr. Cabeca's course at her website. But in this short training that we have here, I want to try to hit some of the basic points that you bring out in your sexual CPR training course. So first, let's start with really, why is sexual health so important?
Yeah, well, it definitely is important, because that's part of our, we talk about sexual health, we really talk about beyond the pelvis, right? We say your biggest sex organ is in the brain. So a healthy brain is really, really important for a healthy sex drive and for our entire life. But it is a key concept of a key component of relationships. I've had many couples that I treated over the years together that would come to me with issues of desire or disconnect, or that were causing significant relationship issues in their lives. And this is what I found out, is that once we address it openly and we address the underlying issues for the issues they're presenting with, the loss of intimacy, the loss of connection, loss of desire, loss of drive, loss of performance, all of those things, that when we address these issues, there's a rekindling that happens. And ideally, we want our relationships to last our entire life. We want to see everyone having their 50th wedding anniversary and then some, right? And so, this time of life, though, the 40s, 50s, 60s, can come with physical changes and emotional and relational and hormonal changes that affect our intimacy on many levels beyond the physical. And that's what's critically important. I had a client do my sexual CPR program, and what she said that my husband and I were living for the last 10, she's in her late 50s, as well as her husband's in his late 50s, early 60s. And she said, Dr. Anna, my husband and I for the last decade have been living as roommates. We love each other, but we felt like, we're best friends. And we lost that intimacy, that level of connections by doing sexual CPR, your program. Not only did we regain that intimacy and spark, but it's like we're boyfriend and girlfriend again, we're on our
That's so
honeymoon
good.
again.
That is so good. Yeah.
And that's after 25 years of marriage. And that's what, there's this transition time period that really causes people to falter. And of course, there are the physical changes. I had another client, 71 years old, Kathy. And Kathy said, she was in her second marriage. Her husband had died after I think they were married 18 years. She was single for a few years, then remarried. She said the love of her life. And she said she wanted intimacy to continue throughout the rest of her lives. And if they had physical challenges, but through my program, sexual CPR, and my products, Julva and Mighty Maca. Mighty Maca is a drink, a green superfood drink that's combined with amazing adaptogens and antioxidant ingredients from all over the world. And that help with sex drive, helps with energy, helps with detoxification and alkalinization, all these key things. And then plus Julva. Julva is my cream I developed for women to help with dryness issues, irritation, and it can also be used for men to help with erectile issues as well. And so she started using my products, and Julva specifically, and said it's created a whole nother level of intimacy. They're really particular, like once a week they have sex once a week, but the intimacy is week long, and that continues. So whether they're having intercourse or not, to be able to pleasure each other is a huge, it's just huge. It's rekindling, and that we need that, because that rekindling increases oxytocin, which bonds us together, especially woman to the male. Oxytocin bonds us together. And I think that's a really critical piece. And oxytocin is the most anti-aging hormone we have. So the more oxytocin that we produce in our life, the healthier we are. It is anti-aging. It helps with muscle cell. It's a natural painkiller. It has natural appetite suppressant. There are so many great things about this powerful hormone, oxytocin, not to be confused with oxycodone. I have to say that now.
Yeah, that's a good point. So I think the main message here is that you don't have to suffer with not having a sex life. There are solutions, and you can stay sexually active all of your life. So, I picked out a few topics out of your program that I think people will really be interested in. So if we can kind of briefly run through these. So the first one is the number one condition that can decrease your libido, and how to fix it.
Well, the number one condition that can really affect our libido, like for women, it's certainly vaginal dryness. Vaginal dryness is one of those issues, and that create this disconnect. If we have pain every time we do something, why would we want to do it? Right? And the same is true with men with erectile dysfunction. If we want to have sex as a man and we're unable to get an erection, it's like, not feeling confident in the bedroom anymore. And those are things that we can work through. I have a whole men's chapter in my book, Keto Green 16, and I talk about vaginal health in my book, The Hormone Fix, but also in sexual CPR, my program, because these are things that we can fix. It's not just about here's that little blue pill, here's that prescription. It goes beyond this for both men and women. And so when we are able to address the underlying, like some discomfort, right? Discomfort one way or another, that if you have pain every time you do something, you're not going to want to do it. And many women, when approaching intimacy, have told me, they said, you know, I know my husband wants to have sex, but I'm just powering through because it hurts so badly. Like, it doesn't have to hurt. And we go beyond vaginal estrogen to get help. So there's a lot we can do with prescription vaginal testosterone, for instance, or prescription vaginal DHEA, or my topical cream Julva. These things that are able to help restore for women's sexual health, and then for men too. There's a lot we can do to help. But what I really like women to know, the number one thing for women to understand about men is that his pleasure, her pleasure is his pleasure. Like, that's the number one arousal. Like, what I asked, I don't know, like, you know, so many guys this question, all ages, all statuses, everything, and they all gave me the same answer. I asked them, what's your biggest turn on about your intimate relationship with your partner? And every one of them said, well, when she's turned on in some form of this, when she's turned on, I'm turned on. Her arousal turns me on. And that, I want every woman listening to hear that. Her pleasure is his pleasure. So it's not that women often think, okay, I have to check this off my list for my husband. Right. No, that's not the case. Would you agree, Nico?
I totally agree. Yeah, I totally agree. That's so true. All right, that's so good. So the next question is, what's the single most important thing you can do to improve your intimacy?
I would say the single most, and this brings in sexual CPR, the concepts of sexual CPR. You know, in CPR, cardiopulmonary resuscitation, right? This kind of sexual CPR is a fun name for this, and very holistic program.
It revives you. Yes, it revives you, right?
It does revive you at any age. And we talk about the ABCs of CPR. There are the ABCs of sexual CPR. And A is accept yourself. B is be present, like don't be doing your grocery list, shopping list, or be present. And C is communication. So I think C is the really biggest one, is that communication, right? Because our verbal stimuli, you know, flirting early on during the day, you know, throughout the day, and you know, teasing, playful communication, and open, honest communication, knowing what you like, knowing what you don't like, and being able to communicate that in a very positive, encouraging way really is something that moves the needle in so many intimate relationships.
Yeah, so good. Absolutely so good. Okay, the next one is how to achieve orgasm whenever you want.
Well,
that's a good one.
That is a good one. That is a good one. And it is about, you know, practice makes perfect, right? Practice makes perfect. So self-pleasuring, pleasuring each other. But again, here, knowing what feels good to you and knowing what doesn't feel good to you. And there are techniques that I share in sexual CPR, like the fire breath orgasm, using your breath for increasing orgasm, and sensate focus, really getting in tune with the sensations that you're feeling. Again, being very present and slow and deliberate and completely aware of your senses and the stimuli, can all increase orgasm, especially as we get older. And the other thing too is knowing our anatomy. I usually, when I'm presenting in front of groups, I've presented all around the world on sexual health, teaching physicians this topic and bioidentical hormones. And I always present this slide with on erogenous zones, male erogenous zones compared to female erogenous zones. Female erogenous zones are like all over our body, behind the neck, the head, the arms, thighs, legs, low back. And of course the breast and pelvic area. Men, it's localized to one area of the body.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just makes me that about yourself.
Yeah. No, it's just kind of funny, you know, because you always think about how you know the old saying, how men think with their certain thing. That's kind of funny. Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know, let me ask you. So, why do you think so many people, especially women, have a problem achieving an orgasm?
Well, I think there are many reasons, and really, what we know is that, you know, the statistics are pretty amazing that over 75% of women don't consistently experience orgasm.
75%?
75 consistently,
Oh.
or experience orgasm during sex. So foreplay is really important.
Mm.
I always say, if you know, to understand how important foreplay is, go down a water slide that isn't wet.
Yeah, that's so good.
Right? Foreplay is
Yeah.
so important, and you know, pleasuring each other ahead of time, teasing, all that stuff is really important, because for women, desire is secondary after the initial phases of relationships. Secondary desire, this is really important for women to understand and men to understand about women, is that our desire is secondary, meaning, and this is what I heard from patients as I worked with clients in sexual health, they would say, well, Dr. Anna, I never want to initiate sex, but I'm okay once I get started.
Mm.
And that, hearing that over and over again, I'm like, wait, the, you know, the old Masters and Johnson sexual response a diagram, that's not, that doesn't work for women, and absolutely not, it doesn't. And so Dr. Bassan illustrated the secondary desire, and that is the normal for women. So receptivity is important. Now, we have to have hormone balance. We have to not be under stress. We have to have good communication and not be in fear in order to be receptive. So receptivity is really important. We need testosterone and estrogen on board for receptivity. So if we're stressed out, that depletes estrogen and testosterone and progesterone, and, you know, creates physical effects, but it also decreases our desire and our receptivity, our willingness to participate and join in, right? So, but women, once we get started, once the turn on is there, then we get turned on. Once the intimacy, the caressing, the foreplay, this pleasuring has begun, then our hormones, the testosterone, dopamine, adrenaline, all of the oxytocin gets going, and then we're in, right? Then we're in. But now all those other pieces have to be in place, especially as we're older, because the vaginal dryness, urinary tract infections, bladder leaking, all of those will, you know, thinning of our tissue can affect our experience. And then again, if we have pain every time we do something, we're not going to want to do it. So healing the vaginal floor and the vaginal tissue, which I write about in both my books, but as well as sexual CPR, it's really, that's important. And, you know, talking to our gynecologist, talking to our partner, discussing what we're feeling and getting real solutions is important for this too. And I think that once we recognize, and I had one client, and a younger client, 37 years old, never experienced an orgasm in her life. So just understanding postpartum changes, physical changes postpartum, and working with sensate focus, communication, also G-spot stimulation. I got a phone call at 4 a.m. She goes, Dr. Anna, I'm having this pelvic cramping, this like my, you know, like uterus is cramping. I'm like, that's a pelvic floor orgasm. She'd never, you know, a uterine orgasm. She never experienced one in her life. So I think, you know, it's possible. I mean, it's definitely, I see it all the time. So, and especially even older, I hear from older women too, especially once we restore vaginal health, is that now they're experiencing better, more fulfilling sexual intimacy than they had, better orgasms, more consistently, because also knowing your body, you're not having pain, you're receptive, you're more balanced and open and confident of what you know, what you like and what you don't like. That shifts things completely.
So good. So good. Okay, let's go down to the last one here. And this is a good one here. The number one mistake that men make in the bedroom.
Yes, this is really good. This is so funny. And I always tell men, if you want your wife to be receptive to you, right, you have to do this one thing that just takes 2 minutes, and you've been doing it all wrong. And they're all on board, like, okay, it takes 2 minutes, I'm on board. And this, give you some background on it. With intimacy, women increase oxytocin. So intimacy, pleasure, laughter, play, all of these things increase, love increases oxytocin. Oxytocin inherently makes us want to connect, bond. So after intimacy, whether you have intercourse or not, this bonding time, connecting time, communicating time is really important. Cements this connection between the two. And so what that typically happens is after intimacy is the guy's like oxytocin for him just makes him sleepy. So what does he do? He rolls over and goes to bed, right? He's like, oh, great,
Yeah.
asleep right away.
Yeah.
So I say, guys, just give me 2 minutes. Just give us 2 minutes. Give your woman 2 minutes and, connect, bond, positive,
Yeah.
feedback, loving, intimate, open conversation, and just, really take those 2 minutes to bond, cuddle, listen, learn, love, and then that's a great bonding, that connection, that intimacy is cemented there. So the next time you're like, hey, what you up to? let's go play. And she'll be like, okay, that's a reward for her. That is reward for her almost without exception. So I think that's a really powerful thing. So it takes 2 minutes, just connect as long as it takes to brush your teeth or put on a tie or tie your shoes or whatever it may be. Just give her those 2 minutes, that time to connect and really bond and use like our physiology to our benefit, right? That hormone oxytocin. And that creates more loving relationship. I had a couple come to my office, married couple. They've been married about only 5 or 6 years, and he said, Dr. Anna, I mean, she has mind-blowing orgasms. She is, just, sexually fabulous, but she never wants to initiate sex. And I don't get that. She's having great orgasms and everything. And I asked him, so what do you do after sex? And he said, I don't know, I go to sleep. I'm like, that's your problem.
Yeah.
And so he worked with this for a while, and I saw them a month later for a follow-up, and I was working with both of them separately and then together as a couple. And he just said, like, she was like 1,000% more turned on and more responsive and more receptive, and he too just really reaped the benefits of those 2 minutes of connection time and intimacy and just learning more about what she likes, what she doesn't like, what they like together, and having that open, honest communication, which really bonded them in many, it really nourished their relationship.
So that's so good. And yeah, we can definitely do that. We can do that. That's so good. Okay, well, and it's been so good. I really appreciate all the great things you've offered here. And again, I want to encourage our viewers to really connect with Dr. Anna. Well, there's a PDF that comes with this video training, so all her information is how you can check out her books and her courses and all that. So I definitely encourage you to do that. So that brings us down to the last question I have for all my experts on this project is, what ideas do you have to get people to actually begin to implement your recommendations? That's the big thing. I like to always say, knowledge without action is useless, right?
Right. I would say, just from this conversation, what was your one aha moment? So let's place that into an action step. You just need to make one next right step. Don't give up on yourself. Don't give up on your relationship, even if you've been disconnected for decades. Open up the communication. Remember the ABCs of sexual CPR. Accept where you are right now. Be present in this relationship and communicate in a loving, encouraging, positive way. So I would say start with that and then take your next right step.
That's so good. Thank you so much. So I would just end with absolutely the big message here is that you can enjoy a really wonderful sex life all of your life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
One more, Rico, because I had a client, actually a physician I met in Brazil, and he's 79 years old, and he said, he's still very big on vibrational medicine, and he said, really, he says an orgasm a day is the best thing to keep you healthy. So an orgasm a day keeps the doctor away. So remember that.
Okay, that's our new mantra.
There you go.
I'm going to write it down. Okay, really good.
Better than an apple.
Better than an apple. Yeah, an orgasm. Okay, that's our new mantra. Dr. Cabeca, thank you so much. That was great.
Okay, hope you enjoyed that. We are back. Actually, we only have 30 seconds left. So again, I just want to thank you for being here. Hope you enjoyed today's show and all the shows. And tell your friends about the Fearless Aging TV show. We're here for you. We're here to offer you the best proven tips and strategies that will help you to live a much healthier, energetic, long life and to never be old. So go out and be your best self and help to make it a better world